All right, folks, what up? This is Remy Martin, and I am here with episode 2 of the Marvel Mindset podcast. And this episode is on turn taking. If you were with us for episode 1, if you weren't, you should go back and watch it after you watch this. But our first episode, we talked about what it means to play neutral, what neutral means, what are the 4 different components that make up the neutral game. Very rich video to go back and watch, really strong foundation. And today we're going to build on that just a little bit, going into turn taking. And so let's get into our Marvel mindset for the day. Um, Remember, I just want to bring up again for folks who may be new to the platform. The purpose of this video podcast is to keep the history of Marvel alive, to pass on the lessons that we learned in the past as kind of first generation Marvel 3 players and be able to pass those on to the newer guys. And when this is all said and done, I hope to have like a sequenced archive for learning Marvel 3 from the ground up. And you guys will hear a little bit more later about the interactive portion of the Marvel Mindset platform. But I am a former classroom teacher. And so, like, one of the things that's really important to making sure that people learn is that you have a safe space for learning and like productive conversation about whatever the topic is about. And so, when we do start having our interactive streams, you'll see a little bit more what that looks like, but that's also a part of the purpose for the podcast. Um, and just again, I want you all to be able to think about every time you turn on one of these episodes, think about me as your guide in whatever the topic is, whether it's neutral, whether it's defense, whatever. I grew up in the golden age of Marvel 3. And so I've recognized, like, in the newer Parsec era, there are a lot of things that you guys weren't around to benefit from firsthand. And so I'm trying to keep those things alive by making classroom space for you to be able to come learn about it and then implement it in your own game as you climb the ranks as the second generation of Marvel 3 players, or maybe third generation, the new generation of Marvel 3 players. So, like I said, today we're going to talk about turn taking. What constitutes a safe approach versus an overextended approach in neutral? So, every Marvel Mindset episode that is not an interactive training camp is going to start with learning objectives. Learning objectives are ways that teachers make a promise to their students, and they hold me accountable for making sure that I'm making the content that accomplishes the goals that I say it's going to accomplish. And so, the learning objectives or the promises I'm making to you today are: viewers will be able to recognize the key principles of turn taking in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Viewers will be able to identify when a player is practicing a safe approach versus overextending their point character to attempt to hit, and you'll learn exactly what that means in just a second. Viewers will also, by the end of this video, be able to collect and analyze turn-taking data from a real match and use that data to inform their gameplay within a set. Before we jump right into the content for today, I want to give everybody a reminder that a lot of these episodes are going to be formatted for you to take this information into long sets. These foundational principles, they are not going to be best learned and practiced in tournament sets or first to threes. Once we start getting in the first to 5, 7, 10, 15, that's when you're really going to see this stuff be applicable. So I just want you all to understand that when you're going in to use these principles, the long set is going to be your friend. So our agenda for today, we're going to learn what turn taking is. We're going to learn about the 2 different types of ways to approach in the neutral. Then we will get straight into a match analysis, and I'll show you how to take data on turn taking. Then I'll show you how to analyze that data and use what your analysis and the trends you see to further advance your gameplay as you go throughout a long set. Every time we do a match analysis, I'll always try to run it back once I've shown you all and pointed out what I saw so that you can have the opportunity to see it as well. And then we'll close out the class for today with our wrap up, and I'll just talk to you about what's next and give you some homework. All right. So, big question of the day, what is turn taking? So, turn taking is the ability to decipher when the best opportunities arise, both offensively and defensively, to attempt to earn a hit. So, like, one of the things that's cool about Marvel 3 and is very unique to this game as a team game is you're not just playing one character versus another character. You've got two assists potentially. You've got all these different mechanics. There's projectiles, there's movement. It's a very free form game. And so, the reason that this game centers so heavily on turn taking is because there's so many mechanisms at play all at the same time. And once you get into a high level, or once you start to make more sense of the rhythm of Marvel 3, everybody who's played this game, you know there's a back and forth, there's a push and pull, there's a pull and tug of Marvel 3. That is where we start to analyze turn taking. When is it appropriate? When is it most likely? When is it most beneficial for you to go for a hit? Again, because there's so much going on the screen, bystanders will say, "Oh, Marvel looks so complicated." But when you really start to dig into it at a high level, it actually is very predictable. There are rules, there are regulations to how people are approaching these matches. And so I'm going to kind of peel back the layers of what it looks like to turn this chaos into something that's manageable and observable that you can learn from. So when we're talking about turn taking, we're talking about the ability to decipher when it's best, whether on offense or defense, to attempt to earn a hit. And so when we talk about turn taking, there's two types of approaches that you can use. There's a safe approach, and then there's what we call an overextension. So when we talk about a safe approach is an attempt to hit your opponent when your point character or your first character on your team is covered by an assist, or when your opponent is in block stun, recovery, or in movement. So a safe approach is going to be characterized by either your point character is backed up by an assist, or your opponent is in an unfavorable position where they're able to be hit. And those unfavorable positions include when they are in block stun, which means they have previously blocked something else, whether it's a projectile or that assist is backing you up. They may have whiffed a move and they may be in recovery. So that means you have an opportunity to run in and take a turn. Or one of the things about movement in this game is that manual movement is unsafe. And so while there's a lot of free form and you have a lot of options to move, you have to be really smart about it because you're very vulnerable during movement. So when we talk about a safe approach, it means I'm trying to hit my opponent during one of those situations. Then you have the opposite side of that coin, which we're going to call an overextension. An overextension is an attempt to hit your opponent when your point character is not covered by assist, or when your opponent is not in block stun, not in recovery, or not during movement. And so, like, when you are potentially overextending yourself, which means going beyond your resources or going beyond your turn, this is when it is least favorable for you to go for a hit. Because there's so many variables in this game, because people are at various skill levels, will you be able to get hits off of overextensions? Absolutely. If you're playing against somebody who's new at the game or somebody who doesn't have good defense, even if you take a bad turn, you may still get the hit and win the game. However, when we're talking about Marvel at the highest level, a rule of thumb is you want to have as many safe approaches as possible, and you want to minimize the number of overextensions. So that's the principle we're going to operate under for the rest of this video. You want your approach to be safe. You want as many of your approaches as possible to be safe, and you want as few as possible of your approaches to be overextended or you trying to get a hit when it's not advantageous for you. And so now that you understand these two definitions and what it looks like to partake in taking a turn, now we're going to go into a match analysis. And we are going to go back to our video from our match analysis from video 1. And we are going to stick with this match between me and Inkla. I again chose, like, I like to do a lot of examples with Magnum teams because because of the way this shell works, it lends itself really well to fundamental play. And so you'll hear a little bit more about what I mean by that exactly when we look into understanding this matchup. So in the Magnum mirror, the Magnum mirror is all about assist calls. It's all about turn taking. Because Magneto doesn't have defensive buttons and all of his projectiles have a long startup or a long recovery, assist calls dictate Magneto's approach. And so that means when you're a part of a Magnum mirror, it is going to be rare that Magneto initiates a hit without being covered in some way by a projectile or an assist of some sort. And so it really very easily lends itself to pointing out who was right or wrong in their approach. The safety of each player's attempt to get a hit will be dependent on initiating their turn through the proper assist calls. So, what we're going to be able to observe here is when people are making a safe approach versus when they're making an overextension. It is very clear in a Magnum mirror. And that's why I chose this match for us to analyze. So, in game one, turn taking analysis, let me show you how I approach this. So, in game one, this time, instead of focusing specifically on the neutral alone or the neutral in general, I'm going to focus on turn taking. So, safe approaches versus overextensions are the priority. And I've crafted two questions to guide me as we watch this match analysis. Question number one: how many of my opponent's approaches are safe? And so I'm watching from the perspective of me, Remy Martin, because I'm in this video. So I'll be the white Magneto and I'm looking at Inkla and I'm going to be examining his approach. I'll give you a little tidbit. Me and Inkla were playing a long set. I knew we were going to be playing a long set. And so when I'm going into a long set, I use these foundational tools and this data analysis and formulating these questions. I will do that in my mind, and I'm doing this in real time. And so what you will see in game one, I play a very passive game one because I'm taking data on Inkla's neutral and his turn taking. And so this set also lends itself really well to that because I went into the set for this purpose. It was one of my first times playing Inkla, and I wanted to see like how deep his toolbox was. And so this is a particularly good game or set to watch for what we're trying to do. And my second question is, how often is my opponent overextending to attempt to get a hit? So those are the two pieces I'm going to be taking data on while we watch our match. All right, here we go. Let's get our video together. I'm going to take a moment. I want to address, if you have watched episode one, my video was super choppy in that episode, and I have hopefully tried to implement a fix for that this time around. So we're going to see if it works a little bit better. And I'm going to mute us sound wise because we don't really need to hear the sound to be able to get with our analysis that we're trying to get with. So, how do I want to do this? Is it going to allow me to manipulate this from this side? Doesn't look like it. Okay. So, Cobain. All right. We are going to get into game one. And remember, we are looking at turn taking. How often is Inkla approaching me while he is covered by his assist? And how often is he overextending? So that's what we are looking for this first go around. So let's take a look. All right. We both back up. Okay. Cool, cool. No approach right now. We're in the neutral. Okay. Good assist call from Inkla. Okay. He just approached right then and was not covered. Let's see. Ooh, that was good. Okay. Approach behind the Doom Beam. Okay. Approach with the drones call. I see it. Oh, he's got me in the corner. It's bad news for me. Okay. Well, all right. Well, that was a little ugly, but that was my fault. Oh, I did not block on incoming. Okay. So that was, I mean, safe. It's a lot easier to cover on incoming again. Okay. We're behind. Okay. Cool. Ooh. Okay. Well, that was initially safe, but I did some little magic to make it unsafe. Okay. I see me. Okay, another coverage. Oh, but Virgil Swords. You thought it was safe. He said, "No, bro." Okay. Okay. He tried to get the drones out. I respect it. He's trying to make it safe. Notice this is my first time going in with Virgil, and I did that under that missiles call. Cool beans. Okay. Ooh. Okay. I was about to say if I swung again, I'd have been a little out of turn. Oh no, not like this. Dang, Virgil kind of cheap. I was about to say, I want to say that Inkla is not covering himself, but when he starts the interaction, he'll be covered. And then Virgil is like, but no, you're not, though. So I don't know how I feel about that. we're going to we're gonna pause it. Hold on just a second. That was a little crazy. Um, okay. Okay, let's go back to my data. Let me see what I got over here. Hold on, y'all. Let me get my little screen up with the actual data on it because I don't know. I saw that match a little differently than I did while I was planning this episode. I might have to cut Inkla a little slack because that did not go exactly how I thought it went. And I'm man enough to admit when things looking a little suspect. Okay. Y'all see this? Okay, cool. All right. So what I got in my engagement, so like I would call each time he approached me, I called that an engagement. And then I just kind of went under that and I said, was it an overextension or was it safe? And so first engagement and second engagement, I said were overextensions. I think those were those two opportunities, and we're gonna watch it back, so we'll get to see exactly what it was. But I think it was those two opportunities where he like woke up and tried to mag blast just moving forward. And I think he ended up getting hit by a disruptor. Um, Third and fourth engagement were safe. And so, okay, we're 50-50 right now. So our first four, he had two overextensions and two safe. Let's see what else. Oh, okay. We went a little bit out of ratio here. Fifth engagement, I said, was a safe engagement. Six and seven were overextensions. Oh, okay. Well, we didn't end as well. Okay. So the ninth engagement that we had, um, it looked like there was an overextension with the drones. Okay, this must have been what I was talking about. So, like, there was a few interactions in there where he would foot dive or do drones, or even like there was a wake up situation where I mean, I was in wake up and he did mag blast and doom beam, and I mean, it was safe until Virgil pressed the button and made it unsafe. And so it's just interesting. Like we said before, there are a lot of variables in this game. And so maybe sometimes you could start out with a safe approach, and depending on the character you playing against, it could become unsafe. Is that fair? I mean, all's fair in love and war. So we're gonna run it back and let's see if we can pin down what these exact interactions were and look at overextensions versus safe engagements. Maybe we'll go a little bit slower this time so we can really look into what it is we're trying to see. Okay, let's run it back. Let me get our little video up here, y'all, so we can watch this at the same time. Boom. I feel so technologically advanced over here. Okay, got it. Cool beans. All right, we're going to go interaction by interaction. Let's see what we can see. All right, I'm getting into the match. I know we both start by backing up. Inkla goes to the sky, try to hold it down on the ground, but let's see what happens after that. All right, back up. Boom. Disruptor, disruptor. So I got a safe call right there. I choose not to go in. But had I wanted to go in, I was very covered by missiles. Let's see what Inkla's first approach is. Okay. So he calls the assist, but he does not go in. Let's see if he decides to go in after this. If he goes in right here, I would have to say unsafe, but let's see. See, okay. So yeah, so he went in right there, not covered by the assist, and it looks like he called drones. But because Magneto has disruptor, again, like maybe if this was a different character, going half screen and then calling the drones, it would be safe as long as there's no projectile to pierce through everything. And so I would call that an overextension. I would say, like, if he really wanted it to be a completely safe, he would have waited to be able to call the drones to where he could separate himself from Sentinel. So even if Sentinel take a hit, he still can make a decision as Magneto to do something different if he needs to. So I would say maybe that was interaction one with the overextension. Okay, I make my missiles call and I go in covered. Notice once those missiles are done, I'm like, okay, well, missed my turn. He wasn't on the ground, so let me go away. I didn't want to overextend right there. All right, Inkla comes in. Okay, okay, it's getting a little fishy. Okay, so I would say, would I call that safe? I mean, it was safe in theory, but it was not safe in practice. He called the Doom Beam and he went forward. But again, if you are in the same place as the assist and there is a piercing projectile on your opponent's side, then that means it was never going to be safe. If he again had separated himself from the Doom Beam to where I could disrupt the Doom but not Magneto, then I would call that safe. And so I'm going to say overextension. And let me look back in my notes just to see. Okay, we said the first two were overextension. So these next two are supposed to be safe. Let's see what actually happens. Okay. Back up. Boom. There wasn't an approach. I got a safe missiles call. Cool. Okay, yep, safe. That was good. Notice he called the assist beforehand. Boom, again. Boom. Okay, yeah, you want the assist for it to be safe. You want the assist to already be there, locking your opponent down. The first time that he called drones in the match, he called it too late and he left Magneto right in front of the drone. So like Disruptor was gonna blow that up. But this time he made the adjustment and he called the drones while I was on wake up. So that when I wake up, now the drones are here and his point character is covered. So that was good. Those two were safe. Okay, incoming is almost always, unless you do an ugly incoming, it's almost always covered. So that was a covered incoming. Let's see. Ooh, okay. And see, another perfect example. He messed up as the point character, but the purpose of the assist is to make you safe whether you do the right thing with the point character or not. You're giving yourself two opportunities to make the right choice instead of just one. Oh, so apparently if I do that, they're gonna give y'all some balloons. Oh, that was cool. Hold on, wait a minute. Oh man. Oh yo, let's go. Party time. Let's go, boys. Okay, well, that was interesting. Dang, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Um, yeah, safe, overextended. You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep going and see what happened after this. Oh, that was unfortunate. Okay, so that's exactly what I was talking about, where in that instance, he went forward with the assist. But again, Virgil, maybe not a piercing projectile, but a piercing sword, made this what would have been a safe approach an overextension. Hmm, that's unfortunate, but fair. He needs that. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? He needs that. All right, now what we got? Oh, I know he finna do a drones call here. Okay, say yikes. Okay, well, once again, it was safe. However, Sword said no, no. Okay, okay. Uh, I mean, again, that should have been safe. Again, if it wasn't Virgil who had a full screen projectile. Me, on the other hand, the missiles, that was great. Great approach for me. That was beautiful. Very safe, very covered, very demure. Oh, uh-oh. Not like this. Okay. And then, oh, wait a minute. Okay. So what would we call that? Hold on. That may, okay. Uh, okay. Boom hit. He, all right, we kill Magneto. Doom comes back in. I want to see how this stinger happened. Okay, his turn. He's doing super. He should be able to call. I mean, I mean, I, it was an overextension because Doom's butter gun did not cover that space. Like, he left that space open. And so you can call the assist, but like, that assist did not cover that space. Like, had it been Jam Session, had it been like Strider who comes out and then goes somewhere else, then yes, I would have given that a safe approach. But you can't do butter gun and drones that close to your opponent because they can just hit whoever. Um, and so, there, like I said, there are some intricacies to this in general. If you call the assist appropriately and your point character can then take a turn because of how you called the assist, then it's safe. But you can also call the assist wrong or do the wrong move, like to try to protect the assist. I would call that an overextension. Um, let me look back at my little notes from a minute ago and see what we say about that, because I think that's the last interaction of the game. So we said, let me take this down and go back with screen share, boom, boom, go back with this. So we said we saw, all right, the first two overextensions and then the safe. Then we saw a safe and two overextensions via Doom Beam and via drones. Okay, yep. So that was when he tried to wake up and do Mag Blast Doom Beam, and Virgil said H swords. So it was safe, but then it wasn't. And so you have to have matchup knowledge to know that that's not going to be a safe approach against this character. Maybe against some other characters, but not against this one. Same thing happened again when he did Drone's foot dive with Doom. And so it would have been safe if there was no such thing as spiral swords. So in this particular matchup, overextension. And then the last two were overextensions. This is how Doom got hit when he overextended with the drones initially that got Doom hit. And then at the end, that last engagement where he did the butter gun and called Sentinel, and we see what happened with that. The man got blown up. And so let's say overall we had one, two, three, four, five, six overextensions, and then three safe approaches. So numbers not looking good, Inkla, for that. And get granted, this was about a month ago. Inkla has gotten better. He's working on it. Like it's all good, but that ratio wasn't it, baby. 6 unsafe to 3 safe. And so that's definitely something to work on. So here's what I get from the data that we took. Based on game one, based on the data I took in game one, I'm confident that for game two, my opponent will most likely overextend with drones in an attempt to get the hit. We saw that in our data. We saw 6 overextensions versus 3 safe approaches. So if we're in a long set, I can assume that he is going to continue to overextend because that's what he did the majority in the last game. And then I need to be more intentional with my butter gun approaches. I think that's something that I take away because with my assist, I am prone to that same situation because Virgil doesn't do anything when he first comes out. Like he's just vulnerable. He can just be hit. And so just like Inkla got hit doing butter gun drones, I could also get hit that same way doing butter gun rapid slash. And so that was just something that I think came to mind. And if we were to take this into game two, those are the things I'd be thinking about. So we're going to wrap it up for today. So what did we learn? We learned about turn taking. This is the art, the practice of being able to decipher when it is best to go for a hit versus when it is not, based on whether you're covered by the assist, your point character is covered by the assist, or if your opponent is in an unfavorable situation like guard stun or movement, just anything unsafe, recovery. Then we learned about the 2 types of approaches: a safe approach, which means your point character is covered by an assist, or they are in an advantageous situation, like your opponent is waking up into a meaty, or they just whiffed a move and they're in recovery, versus an overextension. When you're going for a hit and you don't have the coverage, then it is unlikely that you're going to get that hit. And so, like I said at the beginning, you want to maximize safe approaches and you want to minimize overextensions. Yes, there are going to be some times where you get the hit that you should not have gotten. You're going to get unearned hits, but those are fewer and further between the higher level Marvel you get to play. And so that's why we want to make sure that we have well rehearsed, safe approaches for our point characters and our assists. Ray is the king of safe approaches under assist. So if you need a good example to watch, go find your Ray video. Another takeaway point: assist calls usually determine who gets to have the turn. If you call your assist right, you're going to be covered. So that means your point character can go in and take their turn. If you don't call the assist right, you're not going to be covered. And you might get Stinger, Happy Birthday, S, Helmbreaker, X Factor. I mean, this is just hypothetical. Not that I would not Stinger and Helmbreaker and X Factor anybody. And I'm fairly certain there's no proof that that's ever happened. So I'm just saying, possibly, if someone were to call an unsafe assist, those things may or may not be on the table. But I can't speak to them personally. So, my final takeaway is that you need to collect data on each engagement, not just the win or the loss. Like, notice that I broke down the engagements for whatever it was I was looking at. First engagement, second engagement, third and fourth. And like, to be, as you're building these skills, you're going to have to be able to do that on the fly. Until you can do it on the fly, you need to record your matches. Every time you get the opportunity to see yourself on stream or in a queue for somebody who streams, like, You need to take that opportunity because these fundamentals, these are things that have to be studied. This is stuff you're not just going to pick up and remember off top. Like you have to go back and watch yourself and count these things and make a, even if you have to take tally marks, if you need to get a friend to watch and be like, oh, you were never approaching safely, this is not going to happen casually. You have to go back and take this data and analyze it on purpose and with purpose. Shout out to Ray Ray. Um, so what's next? I want you to go find a video of yourself, one of your own matches, wherever it may be, and analyze it only for turn taking and like actually write the data down. How often did you approach your opponent covered properly by your assist? Not how often did you get the hit anyway, not how often did Parsec cause them to not be able to block and then you got the hit and one. No, how many times did you do it correctly? How many times did you get the hit because you approached safely? That's what I want to hear about. Um, and like I said, every time that I release a video, I'm going to try to do a Marvel Mindset training camp around that topic. And so last time episode 1, we talked about neutral. And so the training camp would have been around neutral. And in these training camps, this time we talked about turn taking. This next training camp will be around turn taking. So just watch socials. I don't know when it's going to be. We'll figure it out. But in these training camps, players will queue up maybe first to 3, first to 5, whatever against me or whatever guest I may have that I feel like is really good at the concept for that week. You'll be able to play a first to 3. We will give you feedback in either in the chat, say it over the stream, and then give you an opportunity to run it back and practice the feedback. That way you get to get better specifically at turn taking or specifically at defending on incoming or specifically at spacing your character the right way. And so that is what the training camps are going to look like, because what research tells us is that in order for people to learn, they need opportunities to practice, they need feedback proximate to what they learned, and then they need reps in front of somebody who can give them advice on exactly what's going on. So that's going to be, again, to try to replicate this classroom feeling, to give you a place where you can come and learn intentionally and feel like you walked out that day with something you can take home. That's what these training camps are going to look like. And last but not least, episode 3, we're going to talk about strategies and win conditions. And so in episode 3, we're going to cover the following. Our learning objectives will be: viewers will be able to define the term strategy and win condition as they relate to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Viewers will be able to identify 3 types of win conditions currently demonstrated in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Viewers will be able to analyze the relationship between a team's win condition and a strategy for achieving that win condition. Viewers will also be able to analyze a match and identify when exactly a team has met its win condition. Viewers will also be able to identify the exact area of improvement in a match where a player meets the win condition but does not ultimately win, which happens a lot. Like you may see somebody go into turnabout mode with Phoenix Wright and they don't actually win the game. You might see somebody get the astral vision off with Morgan and they doing a little loop-de-loop and stealing all your meter, but then somehow they still don't win the game. Like, I don't think people in those instances go back and pinpoint where exactly you messed up. And the reason that that is important is because you need to be able to say with some kind of nuance and certainty exactly why you lost so that you can work on that. But I'm gonna save that for the next video. I'm not gonna give y'all too much too soon. So that being said, make sure you check out our playlist, watch video episode 1, episode 2, episode 3 is coming in the future. I appreciate y'all. Leave some love down in the comments. I love getting feedback. I was the same way with my students. Like, there's no reason to teach people if they're not going to tell you whether or not they learned something. So Go down in the comments, tell me something you liked from today's episode, something you wish you had seen, and something you're interested in learning about in the future. I'd love to hear all three of those things. Hit me with the comments. I will read them all and respond when I get an opportunity. So appreciate y'all. Catch you next time. Thank you for joining me in Marvel Mindset. We will catch y'all later.